Howdy, y'all, and welcome to episode 14 of the Barnyard Banter Podcast, where boots meet microphones and agriculture takes center stage.
We're your hosts, Peyton Roberts
and Riley Rinke. We're Axel FFA members on a mission to bring the ag industry to life. One story, one laugh, and one barnyard tale at a time.
Each episode, we'll be chatting with different farmers, ranchers, FFA members, ag teachers, and industry experts out there making a difference in the world of agriculture.
Whether you're hauling hay, feeding calves, planting crops, or simply just curious about where your food comes from, this podcast is for you.
So sit back, grab a sweet tea, or hop on the tractor as we dive into the wild, wonderful, and sometimes downright muddy world of agriculture. Welcome to Barnyard Banter.
First off, we'd like to thank our amazing guests for joining us today as we take a dive into all things Western and Cavenders. Peyton, why don't you introduce our guest?
Of course. Today we are pleased to have Miss Jennifer Green on the podcast today. Over the past 11 years, Jennifer has been instrumental in shaping and expanding Cavenders' community engagement through sponsorships, new store openings, and outreach initiatives. Her adaptability and strong vision have been essential to maintaining our deep-rooted connections with communities and partners across the Western lifestyle industry. A trusted advocate for the Cavenders brand, Jennifer has led impactful efforts such as the Team Cavenders Youth Rodeo Program, Cavenders' partnership with Cowgirl 30 Under 30, and the Cavenders Family of Star of Texas Award in collaboration with the Texas Historical Foundation. She is especially passionate about working alongside our store managers, the heartbeat of our brand, to uphold the culture and community values that have defined Cavenders for nearly 60 years. Jennifer says that the best part of her job is the relationship she is fortunate to develop. Outside of work, Jennifer enjoys spending time with her son, Owen, a junior at Tarleton State University. Thank you, Ms. Green, for coming on the podcast today. Can you tell us a little more about your role at Cavenders and what a typical day looks like?
Well, good morning, and thank you guys for having me. You know what? I don't have a typical day. Typical is not typical. When you work on events and sponsorships and public relations, it tends to keep the day interesting. And depending on the time of year, I might be working on big Texas rodeos like this time of year. It's January. We're working on Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston. During summer, we have high school rodeo. I could be planning in-store events or a big company meeting. So not a typical day.
For our next question, what drew you personally to Western culture and to Cavenders as a brand?
Well, I was blessed to grow up in the Western world. I was in FFA in high school. I grew up in Henderson, Texas. I showed cattle and livestock, and I grew up on a small cattle operation. Showed horses when I was younger. So this world has been home to me, and when the opportunity presented itself to come work for Cavenders, it was something I'd known and grown up around my entire life. I shopped at the store in Longview and Tyler whenever I was growing up, and I purchased my first ever pair of exotic boots from the Longview store when I was at Texas A&M. You know, when you start making a little bit of money, you get to go spend it on something. Oh, yeah. I went to the Longview store and bought a pair of ostrich boots. So it was a full circle moment for me to be able to come back to a company that I had shopped with for a long time. And I was living in Tyler. I live in the area, and going to work for a family-owned Western wear business that was growing the way it was just exciting.
Thank you. So how does Cavenders define community within the Western lifestyle?
We could define community as a company as the markets where we call home. Currently, we have 129 stores in 18 states. So being involved in those communities and towns where we have stores that we call home is important to us as a brand. Our managers are the face of the stores, and we encourage them to know and be involved in the communities where they live and support our customers.
Do you have a specific store that is your personal favorite overall?
To shop at?
Anything, I guess, to shop at, to manage.
Well, it's really hard to play favorites, but I'll do it. The Stockyard store in Fort Worth is a store where we spend a lot of time. That store we bought from another family-owned business, Lusky Ryan's, years ago, and it's a unique old building. She's been in it. It's also in the historic stockyards, which makes it really interesting and cool. So that one's a little bit I spent a lot of time there, I guess, if you will. And then the College Station store is special to me because I'm an Aggie and I spent a lot of time there growing up in college. And then it's one of my favorite places to go back to. And then I think my third favorite, I'm giving you three, is our store that we refer to as the Astrodome store, which is across from NRG Center in Houston. And so anytime you go down to Houston Rodeo or spend time in that area, that's kind of the store that is the hallmark of that time of year. And so those are my three faves.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. On the aspects of value, what values are most important for Cavenders when choosing community partners?
We choose partners that align with our brand and with our values and our culture. And that is championing the spirit of the American West, supporting events that enhance Western lifestyle and promote ag education. Obviously, we want to promote events that then turn around and, in theory, draw people into our stores to shop. But we align with those things: hard work, grit, integrity. We want to provide unrivaled customer experience. And so we want to work with events who are interested in also partnering with us and, you know, putting their best foot forward.
So how do y'all decide which rodeos, events, or organizations to partner with as Cavenders? And then also, can you explain a little more to our audience what the rodeo aspect of Cavenders is? Because I don't think a lot of people know about that.
The last part is about, when you say rodeos, are you talking about our youth rodeos program?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with that. We have Team Cavenders is a program that is in its, this is our 7th year. It is comprised of up to 25 student athletes, so they're in high school, freshmen through seniors in high school, that are competing in rodeo competitively. These athletes come from across the country, not just Texas. We have athletes from all over the country, and we kind of keep the team staggered in terms of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors in classes, if you will, so that when the seniors graduate off, we bring in another group of freshmen. We try to keep them on our program as long as we can. And our goal is to create a family within them that becomes part of our brand ambassador program, meaning those athletes become like Cavenders employees and Cavenders family members. And they, as they are competing out in the rodeo world, they are wearing a Team Cavenders patch. We use them on social media. We use them for content creation. We use them to do meet and greets and signings in our stores. We've used them as models. We use them in our marketing efforts. And in turn, we provide an annual meeting for them called Team Cavenders Summit, where we bring in speakers within the industry, outside the industry. We train them. We want to enhance their rodeo competition, but also we want to enhance them as individuals and as young people and help them when they get out of high school and what they're going to go on to do in their future careers. So it's been a program that we have really embraced and enjoyed having. It's grown over the years. We've evolved it. We evolve it every year a little bit in terms of what we do for them and how we all work together. It's a collaborative effort. And we consider their families part of our family. And the other piece of it that we really enjoy is, and I mentioned we bring them from across the country, we also have been able to watch those families who would not have known each other otherwise become friends and family members, if you will, too, because they get to know one another and they spend a lot of time together. So it's a program that we enjoy and embrace and want to talk about as much as we can. You may have to ask me the other question again. I apologize.
No, you're good. So how do you decide which rodeo events or organizations to partner with?
Well, so we support around 250 events across the country, and we get a lot of requests. I have a counterpart that works with me, Sydney Shepard, and she manages some of those on the regional side, meaning all of the stores where we have markets. Those requests that come in, she manages a lot of those. And we have to be discerning. We look at an organization's longevity, how long their event has been going on. We look at attendance details, growth. We look at the organization as a whole and also how well they present their event. I mean, we get requests for rodeos and livestock shows and FFA events. And, we do a large assortment of different kinds of things because not all of our markets where we have stores, they're not all very Western, if you will. But there's always something within each market that we want to try to support. And so it's a conversation. We have it internally here, and then we have it with our store managers as well to make sure that it's a good fit before we get into it. So we don't just blindly agree to anything that comes in, and we're careful about who we work with.
Yeah, which makes total sense. So to circle back on the community partnership, can you share a story where a community partnership made a real impact?
Well, I'll give you an example. Tyler put on its first PRCA rodeo last year. It was the East Texas State Fair rodeo, and the East Texas State Fair's been going on for many years, but they added a rodeo component to it, a 3-day PRCA rodeo at the beginning of the East Texas State Fair. And we were given the opportunity and presented the challenge of coming on as their presenting sponsor, being as it's Tyler and Cavenders is based here. And so we jumped into it and we got involved with the event, and we were on site doing a hat bar. We were involved in planning. We had conversations with the stock contractor. We were involved in some meetings. Not to say that we were in decision making, but it was a partnership, which I think we may talk about later, but it was an actual partnership on both parts to bring this event to Tyler. And everyone was a little unsure how it was going to go. When you do something like this for the first time, you don't know how it's going to turn out. And it was a giant hit. And they sold out the rodeo 3 nights in a row. And this rodeo was nominated for the mid-size rodeo of the year with the PRCA, which is a huge thing, especially to happen in your first year. And so it was a blast to see something like that in its first year be as successful as it was. It was great for us as a brand. We had a lift in sales over the weekend. We had brand exposure. And in turn, we were able to see our community bring a brand new event into Tyler and also create rodeo fans that might not have otherwise been rodeo fans.
Yeah, that's great. So what advice would you give to someone or an organization wanting to partner with Cavenders?
We love ideas. We want to hear how we can work together on an event. And if you come to us and just want a check, which I understand all organizations and events need sponsorship dollars or support financially or with product or gift cards, we understand that. But we also ideally want to be able to work hand in hand together on the event. And whether that means we are doing something in one of our stores that benefits the organization, and in turn we have signage, at the event or branding at the event. We like unique ideas, that are brought forward in order for us to go, hey, this is something we've never done before, and let's try it and see how it goes. So I would say interest, adaptability, and to actually have a conversation. We want it to be a two-way conversation when we start considering a partnership with somebody.
Yeah. So how do you approach working with the local versus national partners?
Well, as I think I mentioned before, we are in 18 states, and we do around 250 local partnerships with organizations and events every year. And those are really important to us. The culture of our company, we had our 60-year anniversary last year, and the culture of our company is to support the communities where we call home and to be involved in those communities. And so that is important for us with the 160 stores that we have. And as we grow, we want to continue for that to be important. But we also have national partnerships. that matter, and they allow a broader reach for our brand. And sometimes we refer to that as top of the funnel. You know, you're getting recognition, you're getting your brand and your name out there in a large area, in a large space. And then the local organizations and partnerships allow you to reach individuals in a more personal way. And so it's a balance to have a little bit of both, for sure.
So what do you think makes a partnership successful from your perspective?
Exactly that it's a partnership, that it is beneficial on both parties, and that it's a conversation. And as we grow as a company, we are becoming more intentional about what that looks like. Meaning, we don't want to just write you a check. We want to figure out how we can work together, how we can benefit your organization, how you can benefit us. And that's not as easy as it sounds. You know, it's not. But if you get creative and think about it and are intentional with your decisions, it allows opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise know. Our partnership with the Texas FFA is a great example of that. It was something that organically developed at a time of need in 2020 when COVID hit. And sometimes I think doors open at the right time for a right reason. And so sometimes it's waiting until it's the right time to do something with somebody. And it means saying no, maybe, until it's time to say yes. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think
ma'am.
it does.
All right, for our next question, are there any new things that are in the works for Cavenders that you're super excited about?
Well, as you guys probably know, the United States is having its 250th anniversary this year.
Yes.
And we are planning on some exciting things around that during the summer months. And we are planning on opening more stores. We opened 26 last year, and we're excited to be coming to new states that we haven't been in before and expanding our brand across the country in 2026. So we don't know where all those stores are going to be just yet. We're planning. We know where some of them are coming, and some of them are coming back into Texas. We have some new markets that are opening. We opened a store in New Braunfels in late December, and we're opening a store in Lake Worth, which is in the Fort Worth area, soon. And so it's fun for us to get into new communities and to watch the community get excited about having us come in.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So if you had one piece of advice for someone looking to go into a similar position that you're in right now as your job, what would it be?
It would be to be ready to manage a variety of different projects, events, and tasks at one time. It's a bit of organized chaos, but in the best way. As we talked about early on in this conversation, typical day is not always typical, and it means pivoting based on what lands on your desk or what opportunity pops up, and being ready to grab the next opportunity and figure out how to wrangle it. And then the other thing I would add is relationships and working with different people is instrumental in success. Fortunately for me in this role, I get to work not only with the home office, the marketing team, the merchandise team, which is who buys all of our products for our stores. And then I also get to work with our store operations team, which are store managers and district managers. And those guys are the heartbeat of our stores and our culture. They're the ones on the front, on the front line, selling products and selling merchandise and getting to interact with customers. And so getting to touch all of those different areas is one of the best privileges of my role. And so that goes back to the relationships and just working with a variety of different people all of the time.
All right, Payne, I think it's time for the Ag Report.
February in agriculture is all about preparation. While fields may still be quiet, farmers and ranchers are actively setting the stage for the year ahead. For livestock producers, winter management remains a top priority. Cattle producers are closely watching feed supplies and cow condition as spring calving approaches, knowing nutrition now directly impacts herd health later. Row crop producers are finalizing seed and input decisions, locking in crop insurance and planning rotations ahead of spring planting. Rising input costs continue to influence those decisions. In the markets, volatility remains driven by weather, global demand, and policy discussions. Producers are encouraged to stay proactive with marketing and risk management strategies. February is also a busy month for ag organizations and advocacy, with conventions and meetings bringing producers together to discuss leadership, policy, and the future of rural America. Even in a slower season, agriculture never stops. February is proof that the work done now fuels the success of the year ahead.
Next, Peyton is going to ask you some quick fire questions, which is kind of a this or that.
Okay. So these are more on the fun side. So travel to other states or stay in Texas?
Travel to other states.
Cattle or horses?
Cattle.
Texas A&M or Texas Tech?
Oh, Texas A&M.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
And then coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Green, for coming on the podcast. If our listeners have any questions regarding anything we talked about today, how can they contact you?
The best way to get me is by email, and it's jennifer@cavenders.com. So easy.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
You're excited about our upcoming episodes coming out on the first and third Mondays of every month.
Next on our podcast is a new local social media influencer.
Thanks for watching.
Peace, love, ag.